Hello everyone. This video I'm going to talk about applying for low-income housing. Now, I was able to find within Ontario, of course I know the one for Hamilton, Ontario is where I live. So I know because I applied for that housing. But I've also found applications where it tells you how to do it and where to find it and whatnot for North Bay, Oshawa, Sudbury, Kingston, Gravenhurst, an area, Thunder Bay, and Toronto. Now, when you get the application form, you can contact any of these numbers, or in your area, be it Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, British Columbia, anywhere at least within Canada. I'm not sure how it works in non-Canadian like the US or even like Quebec and that. I don't know how the low-income housing works there. I've never experienced it. I don't know anyone that has, so I don't want to give the wrong information. So I'm not going to speak on that kind of housing, low-income housing. But here in Hamilton, for instance, and I've applied for it in Toronto, so I can speak a little bit on those. And I've went through the application process for Oshawa and North Bay, but I didn't have low-income housing there. Each of the low-income housings, or what they call RGI, rent geared to income, or some it's not rent geared to income, you can get market rent, which is an easier rent for some people and families to deal with. Or you can get you're on different rungs of the ladder. There's the ultimate priority, top priority. Then there's an urgent priority. And then there's those that have terminal illness that can be medically proven by a doctor that states that they have a terminal illness. You can't just say, oh, I have a terminal illness and get it, because the doctor has to fill out certain things on a form. And then there's homeless status, youth status, newcomer status. Those are within Hamilton, and most places, like when I was applying in Gravenhurst, my sister had a housing in Gravenhurst, and when I applied, when my mom and sister and I were looking at possibly moving to Oshawa, and when I applied, when I was thinking about maybe going back to North Bay where I grew up, there was at least the hierarchy of top priority for those that are in abusive situations, being threatened, all that sort of thing. And then urgent status, which is usually to do with the fleeing abuse, and that ties in, but not quite as urgent as the top priority. And then underneath the urgent is usually falls into the category of terminally ill, homeless, youth, newcomers. They all fall into that bracket. And then regular people. And most, if you ask when you get your application and fill it out, and you can get help. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And a lot of them have it right on a part of the application, a number that you can call to get help, and they will help you. Don't be afraid. I had to help my mom and sister with theirs. Which brings me to, there's also different things. You can get a house. You can get an apartment. You can go to a co-op. When you look at the application, for housing, when you're done filling in like your income, how much you get, your name, your address, phone number, social insurance, all of that, with or without help, depending on if you need the help or not. When you get to the building selection form, you want to go for everything that are in areas that you wouldn't mind living, that you qualify for. When I applied for all the bachelors and one bedrooms, because one bedrooms were harder to get, and bachelors, and that's actually what I got my foot in the door with, was a bachelor. And most of the applications, if not all of them that I've seen, they let you know if there's an elevator, or if it's wheelchair accessible or partially accessible. And if it's not, if it's just stairs or that, usually they'll let you know. There's a thing on the application that states if it's accessible. Because nowadays there's lots of people that can't do stairs. They use a cane, they use a walker, they use a wheelchair, various things. So, with both visible and invisible disabilities. Once your form is filled out, take it in, and if you can get someone to look at it, go over it with you that understands it, just to make sure that you got everything, all your ducks in a row. Then you take it in, make sure you keep a copy in case something happens, and you should get a notice within a week or two stating that you're on the list, and it should give you what housing that you're on that list for. And then you wait. And you wait. Now, if you happen to be of the top priority, your wait sometimes can be up to a year or so. It depends on where you're applying and how many people have applied and been approved for that top priority status prior to you getting approved for that top priority status, if you get approved for that. And it's the same with the urgent status and the terminally ill and homeless, youth, newcomer status, and all of that. When my mom and my sister, I had got their paperwork done about 3 years ago now, and they're moving into housing on May 1st. The wait was 5 to 10 years. Now, you're going to say, well, you just said it's been about 3 years and they're moving into a place. We didn't apply them for any of the co-ops. And it turned out that this co-op had an availability, but no one that qualified for that co-op was available. My mom and sister's file was one that came up, and they went and looked at it. They liked it. First, they got denied because the age range is only females in the co-op from the age of 40 to 59. My mom will be 63 on April 4th. So they got turned down because of that. But then they had an emergency meeting and they got approved. So things like that can happen. So keep thinking positive. Do your paperwork. Call every once in a while just to make sure that your application is active and that there's nothing else that you need to do. And if they say you need to do this or that, if you need help, ask for it. They're more than happy to help you. And usually about once a year, they send you a paper that you need to fill out to make sure that they still have the current address, phone number, and that on file for you. And then you have to take that in. And if they don't receive that, then you lose your place and you have to start all over. So do make sure you get that and get that filled out and taken in. Now, those are the steps, and I really hope that this helps. And like I said, do not be afraid to ask at any of the phone numbers for the places. They're more than willing to help you. I have talked on the phone to the Oshawa Low Income Housing and the North Bay Low Income Housing for a long time, sometimes for an hour at a time, and they helped me with things over the phone because I was living far away and I ended up not to leave to go there. So ask for help when you need it. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And I'm listing a bunch of application sites. If you don't see where you're located there, like I'm just doing a bunch within the province of Ontario, go on Google and search where you're looking, like like I did. I went Toronto, Ontario, low income housing. So if you want in Saskatchewan, you type in where in Saskatchewan, and then Saskatchewan low income housing. And it should come up and tell you. Or see if you can ask someone. Peace, much love, bye for now. Let me know down below in the comments if there's anything else you want me to talk about further of that, and I will be glad to try and help. If you would like to see more videos about me living on ODSP and how I budget and applications for things like low income housing, things like that, being diabetic and other disability things, then do subscribe, share, and enjoy. Peace. Much love. Toodles.